slamming Donald Trump's picks for some of his cabinet positions, including his new pick for Labor Secretary, Andrew Puzder. In saying so, Randy Weingarten said these are picks who actually make a mockery of the departments they are leading, going on to say that's not shaking up the system, that's embedding the system with more of the establishment.
All right, joining us now to discuss is Anthony Scaramucci. He is an executive member of Donald Trump's presidential transition team. Hey, thanks so much for being with us and joining us at this hour. This is your preview on this, or debut, I should say, on this show. Thanks for coming in.
Well, thank you. No, it's great to be here. I appreciate it.
So let me ask you off the bat. There were some reports this morning that the president-elect has selected Gary Cohn, the #2 at Goldman Sachs, to lead his Council of National Economic Council. Can you confirm this?
You know, I can't confirm that, but I can talk a little bit about Gary if you want. I know Gary forever. I worked at Goldman from 1989 to 1996, and Gary's a personal friend of mine, and he's a brilliant guy and just an incredibly gregarious person as well. So he knows economic policy, knows tax policy, and one hidden gem about Gary is that he's got such a great expertise in the commodities markets. He originally came up through a group called J. Aron, which was acquired by Goldman Sachs back in the early 80s. So I can't confirm if he's the pick, but I got to tell you, he's one incredible person, and it's just another person that Mr. Trump has seen here at Trump Tower that is at the top of his game.
Anthony, let me ask you about what Randy Weingarten said, in talking specifically about Donald Trump's pick for Labor Secretary. I mean, she slammed Puzder's, saying he's anti-labor and he's anti-fighting for the little guy that Donald Trump promised he would fight for. You respond.
Yeah, so obviously that's not true, and what I would say to Randy and other people is that actions speak louder than words, and just the Carrier deal is a vivid example of Mr. Trump, Mr. President-elect, fighting for the quote-unquote little guy. But I think there's more to it than this. You know, we're focusing on Andy's background in the restaurant business, but what you guys are missing about Andy, he's a great macro economist, and he has a very, very good understanding about the broader interconnectivity of the economy. And so we're focusing on things like minimum wages when we shouldn't be. What Andy's going to be focusing on is wage increases for all Americans. And what Andy wants to focus on is not only bringing jobs back into the United States, helping the administration on these trade deals, which he has a native understanding of, but just making the society better for labor in general. And so when Randy's saying that he's part of the establishment, she really doesn't know him personally the way I know him. This is a very disruptive entrepreneur. He's got a great legal background. And so for me, I couldn't be happier about this pick for the American people. You guys may not know this about me. I grew up in a working class family, and so I identify with these people that are struggling, and I know Andy's going to bring a lot of help to them.
You know, it is interesting, going back to Gary Cohn, who you said you also do know personally. You know, Steve Mnuchin has a long history at Goldman Sachs. Gary Cohn, obviously the #2 there. People thought he would take over Goldman Sachs. Is there something incongruous about the fact that Donald Trump ran ads that seem to very directly criticize the role that Goldman Sachs has in the country, showing ominous pictures of Lloyd Blankfein, and now potentially filling some key economic positions with Goldman people?
Well, listen, I think that the cabal against the bankers is over. And I think what Mr. Trump is really trying to do right now is put the country together. You know, we've had a rough campaign, as the president-elect has said, but he has said most graciously in his speech, and you can see it in his actions in terms of his outreach to so many different people. We really want to bring the country together, not just the party, not just the people that voted for Mr. Trump or the president-elect, but the entire country. And so what I would say, and I'm in these meetings, thankfully, and I'm here at Trump Tower talking to you, if you saw the process, the American people would be super happy about the way we're going about this and the talent that we're seeing. And I think they would also be very proud about people willing to make these sorts of sacrifices to go into the government to serve them. So that combination is great. Now, I worked at Goldman Sachs 20 years ago, so for some reason I'm still, I guess it's permanently affixed on my forehead that I was at Goldman Sachs. But I just want to say one thing. I just want to say one thing about brand. Yeah, it's probably on one of my cheeks. I won't say which one. But here's what I would say to you guys is that Goldman Sachs was a phenomenal place when I was there. It is still a phenomenal place. It has a great team-oriented culture. and people that are success in their orientation have gone to work at Goldman. It's been so phenomenally successful. So I really hope this whole banker cabal of hatred dies down in the next 3 or 4 years.
Let me ask you something. There were reports out this morning, and our Jim Sciutto has just confirmed this, that Donald Trump, the president-elect, has been receiving on average 1 presidential daily briefing, those classified intelligence briefings, a week. Far fewer than his predecessors, fewer than vice president-elect, according to a Reuters report. Is that enough for you?
Well, you see, this is the problem, what was going on from the outside of the tower versus inside of the tower. I sit directly across from General Flynn and KT McFarland. I was just upstairs with Speaker Ryan and the president-elect, with General Flynn and KT McFarland, and so the notion that he's getting 1 briefing versus 10 briefings, I just really think it's not fair to him. I think he is very plugged into the national security situation of what's going on, and he asks phenomenal questions. And there's also some other misnomer out there that he's not a great listener. I get the opportunity to sit in these meetings. I find the questions that he's asking these people not only demonstrate great intuition, but just a real native understanding of complex situations around the world. So I just left General Flynn and KT to come down here to talk to you guys. I know they spent time with Mr. Trump this morning before the Speaker Ryan meeting, and so I have to disagree with that.
Right.
And I'm trying to give your viewers real hands-on stuff that's actually going on here at Trump Tower.
We got to let you go. Those are not the intelligence briefings from the intelligence service that he is entitled to. He may be getting advice from General Flynn and KT McFarland, but that is a different thing. But I do understand your point. Anthony Scaramucci, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks so much, Anthony.
Hey, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Have a great weekend, guys. Thank you.
You too.
Thanks, you too. Coming up for us, top Democrats, they are those sounding the alarm.